The number one tea that works better than medicine. Why is this being hidden? Have you ever wondered why some of the world's most potent healing plants never enter your doctor's office or your newsfeed? Here's something that might surprise you. According to multiple peer-reviewed studies, certain teas, yes, teas, have been scientifically shown to reduce inflammation, balance blood pressure, calm anxiety, even protect the brain from age-related decline. And yet, these ancient remedies are rarely discussed in mainstream healthcare. Why? Because they can't be patented. Because they don't create billion-dollar profits. And because they invite something modern medicine often forgets: presence. In today's video, we're diving deep into 5 sacred teas that may work better than medicine, not just for your body, but also your mind and soul. These aren't your average supermarket brews. These are the same teas that monks have used for centuries to heal, to awaken, and to connect with something greater. We'll explore the fire of ginger, the stillness of chamomile, the clarity of green tea, the deep calm of rooibos, and one hidden tea, a mysterious 5th plant used only in spiritual rituals to heighten awareness and inner strength. A tea that's been quietly forgotten until now. But here's the twist. The real power of these teas doesn't just come from what's in the cup. It comes from how you drink them, when you drink them, and why. That's what makes this video unlike anything you've seen. So don't skip around. The most important part is at the end, not what you think. It might just shift the way you care for your health forever. Before we begin, take a moment. Breathe. Make space. And if you're new here, welcome to Buddhist Health, where ancient wisdom meets everyday wellness. If you find peace, value, or inspiration here, please take a second to like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use more healing in their life. Now, let's dive into the truth. Because what's been hidden might just be what you've been looking for all along. Ancient wisdom, forgotten healing. There is a place the modern world rarely touches, a space of stillness, high in the mountains, or deep within ancient monasteries, where time flows differently and healing isn't rushed. In those sacred halls, hidden from the noise of progress, a simple cup of tea becomes more than a beverage. It is a bridge between body and spirit, an anchor to presence, and a ritual that has sustained spiritual seekers for generations. Long before tea became a drink you picked up at a drive-thru or steeped casually during a busy workday, it was sacred. In Buddhist monasteries throughout Tibet, China, and Japan, tea played a central role in the monastic rhythm of life. It was consumed not out of habit, but with reverence. The act of brewing tea was meditation in motion, a practice of mindfulness, simplicity, and devotion. Monks in the cold Himalayan highlands would begin their day not with caffeine-loaded jolts, but with warm, spiced infusions of ginger root, a practice as ancient as the stone walls around them. They believed ginger tea stoked their internal fire, strengthened their immune systems, and cleared their minds for extended hours of seated meditation. It wasn't just about physical warmth, but about lighting the flame of consciousness within. In Zen temples of Japan, green tea held a different but equally powerful meaning. It was prepared during the quiet intervals before long meditation sittings. Each step, heating the water, measuring the leaves, whisking the infusion, done in complete silence. Every motion was precise and deliberate, nothing hurried. The tea ceremony, or chanoyu, was more than tradition. It was a transformation, a way of reminding the practitioner that even the smallest moment holds the potential for awakening. These were not ceremonies performed for guests or followers. They were personal, inward-facing acts of spiritual hygiene. The monks understood something our modern world has forgotten: that healing begins when we stop, when we breathe, and when we return to the present moment, not through a pill but through a practice. Even today, some of the longest living and most mentally vibrant elders in these regions credit their longevity to diet or genetics, and to these small rituals woven into their daily lives. It was never about instant results. It was about consistent care. Just as a tree doesn't bloom overnight, the spirit doesn't flourish without nourishment, rest, and deep-rooted habits. But what's most surprising is that modern science is finally catching up. Researchers now validate what the ancients knew from intuition and lived experience with data. Compounds in ginger, green tea, and rooibos have shown measurable benefits, from reducing inflammation to improving circulation, to calming the nervous system, and even extending cellular longevity. And yet, for most people today, tea remains an afterthought, an accessory, not a tool. We've lost the sense of ceremony. We've been trained to believe that healing must come in plastic bottles, not ceramic cups. If it's not expensive, it can't be effective. But those monks, centuries ago, understood something profound, that a warm drink, prepared with care, consumed in silence, and infused with intention, can change the way you feel, think, and live. Not because of what it contains, but because of how it reconnects you to yourself. This is not about replacing medicine. It's about remembering what medicine once was, a moment of connection, stillness, and reverence for the body. Tea, in its most sacred form, isn't a quick fix. It's an invitation. And maybe, just maybe, in this fast-paced, overstimulated modern world, returning to that ancient wisdom is precisely the kind of healing we've been missing. The 5 sacred teas that heal from within. In a world flooded with fast fixes and synthetic solutions, the most profound forms of healing often come from the simplest of places: roots, leaves, flowers steeped in hot water, carrying the quiet power of centuries. These are not just teas. They are rituals of renewal, allies in the subtle art of self-restoration. Let's begin with ginger tea, a golden brew passed down through generations of spiritual seekers, from the Himalayan monks to forest hermits of old. There's a quiet strength to ginger. It doesn't dazzle with sweetness or aroma, but burns gently within, awakening the body from its slumber. Monks believed ginger was more than food, it was fire. On frigid mornings before sunrise meditations, they'd sip warm infusions to stir circulation and sharpen the senses. And now, we know why. Modern research confirms what ancient wisdom long suggested. Ginger reduces inflammation, supports cardiovascular health, and improves digestion. It's the kind of tea you don't just drink, you feel. The first sip warms not just your hands but your will to move, breathe, and be fully present. Then there's rooibos. Earthy, red, and calming like dusk in the desert. Native to South Africa but beloved in Buddhist circles across the East, rooibos has long been prized for its ability to ground the nervous system. It's caffeine-free, rich in antioxidants like aspalathin, and has a natural sweetness that soothes the tongue and the spirit. There's an old monastic saying, "A calm heart opens the gates of wisdom." Rooibos is that calm. Picture an older man named Robert, long burdened by restless nights and rising blood pressure. He'd tried it all, medications, meditations, nothing seemed to work. But when he began sipping rooibos before bed, something shifted. Sleep came more easily, his body softened, his mind was less frantic. It wasn't a miracle. It was the quiet work of a plant doing what it's done for centuries, inviting the body back to its natural rhythm. And then we arrive at green tea. Ubiquitous now, but once revered as sacred. In Zen tradition, green tea was the drink of clarity, served before deep meditation to cultivate alertness and inner peace. It walks the line between calm and energy like no other. Its secret lies in pairing caffeine with L-theanine, a unique amino acid that enhances focus without agitation. Think of it as a mental lantern, bright enough to illuminate thought, soft enough not to blind. The catechins in green tea, especially EGCG, have been studied for their role in reducing oxidative stress, improving metabolic health, and even aiding longevity. But beyond all that, there's a stillness in how green tea is brewed and sipped, a whisper from the past reminding us that productivity doesn't have to mean pressure. Chamomile, by contrast, speaks the language of surrender. Chamomile tea is a bedtime blessing with its delicate floral aroma and subtle bitterness. But its story is older and deeper than most realize. In ancient temples, it was given not only for rest, but for rites of transition, the changing of seasons, the letting go of sorrow, the opening to something new. Chamomile doesn't demand healing, it invites it. It works by gently easing the nervous system, reducing inflammation, and encouraging the brain to produce calming neurotransmitters like GABA. For many, it's the difference between lying awake in worry and easily slipping into dreams. For others, it's the reminder that softness is strength. And then, there's the 5th tea, the one rarely spoken of, the one not sold on supermarket shelves or marketed with hashtags. This tea was used in esoteric meditation rituals, kept hidden, not out of secrecy, but out of reverence. Its name will come later in our journey, but what matters now is its purpose. elevation. Where ginger grounds the body, rooibos calms the nerves, green tea sharpens the mind, and chamomile restores rest, this tea lifts consciousness. It is said to awaken the third eye, to support the practice of deep inner stillness, and to amplify spiritual sensitivity. Use sparingly, always in silence. It is more than tea, it is transmission. And when the time is right, we'll uncover its identity together. But here's the more profound truth that threads all these together. None of these teas are meant to be consumed mindlessly. Their healing power is in your presence, and not just in their chemistry, in the way you pause to brew them, in how you hold the cup, in the breath between each sip. You are not simply drinking herbs, you are remembering. Remembering that healing doesn't always come with noise or urgency. Sometimes it comes quietly, like steam rising from a cup, like warmth moving through your chest, like peace. Mindful sipping, the monk's ritual. In the fast lanes of modern life, even tea has become rushed. Toss a bag in a mug, microwave the water, sip between emails. But in the sacred spaces of ancient monasteries, tea was never just a beverage, it was a ritual, a mirror, a meditation. The monks knew something we've forgotten. How you drink your tea matters as much as the tea itself. They didn't drink while scrolling their phones or pacing the corridors of distraction. They sat, they waited, they watched. Every movement was intentional, from heating the water to pouring the first drop. And as steam rose like incense, it wasn't just water and leaves merging, it was body and breath, mind and moment, becoming one. In Zen temples, the tea ritual was less about flavor and more about presence. The sound of boiling water was music. The feel of warm ceramic against the hands is grounding. The first sip, not a gulp, but a gesture of gratitude. This was their medicine, not just for the body, but for the spirit. There's a quiet teaching passed down through generations. When you drink your tea, drink only your tea. Not your worries, not your past, not your plans, just the tea. Just now. In this way, tea becomes a teacher. It asks you to slow down, return to the breath, and fully inhabit the moment. One sip at a time, one breath at a time. Even science is beginning to catch up. Research shows that the state of your nervous system directly influences how your body digests and assimilates nutrients. When you're anxious, distracted, or tense, your body isn't in healing mode. But when you pause, when you breathe, your body listens. It opens. It receives. So imagine this. Instead of guzzling your cup as background noise to the day, you turn it into a moment. You step away. You sit in a quiet space. You prepare your tea slowly, maybe with soft music or silence. You hold the cup with both hands. You inhale the aroma, feeling the warmth, grounding yourself. Then you take a sip, and nothing else. You let the tea enter not just your body but your awareness. This, the monks would say, is the real nourishment. In some traditions, the tea ritual was a morning prayer. In others, a closing of the day. But always it was an act of devotion, not to the drink but to life itself. A declaration, I am here, I am present, I am worthy of this moment. Because healing, real healing, isn't loud or flashy. It doesn't come with blinking lights or instant results. It whispers. It waits for you in the stillness. It lives in the spaces between the sip and the swallow, between the breath in and the breath out. The tea doesn't do the healing. You do. The tea just reminds you how. So the next time you make a cup, don't rush it. Let it be your sanctuary. Let it be your meditation. Let it be your return. Oh, calm, clarity, and the quiet strength always within you. That's what the monks knew. That's why tea in their world wasn't just a drink, it was a ritual of awakening. Science finally catches up. For centuries, tea was regarded as folklore, a grandmother's remedy, a monk's quiet ritual. Something humble, comforting, yes, but never quite serious in the eyes of Western medicine. But now, science is catching up to what monks, sages, and everyday people worldwide have known. Let's start with inflammation, that slow, silent disruptor that underlies so many of today's chronic illnesses, from heart disease to Alzheimer's. According to research published by the Mayo Clinic and Harvard Health, polyphenols, natural compounds found abundantly in tea, possess potent anti-inflammatory properties. These compounds, especially catechins and flavonoids, work like microscopic guardians, calming the body's internal alarm systems without the side effects of synthetic drugs. Take green tea, for instance. Its most famous compound, EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, has been shown in studies to protect the brain, reduce oxidative stress, and improve cardiovascular function. It's not a myth, it's biochemistry. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that participants who regularly consumed green tea had lower LDL cholesterol levels and improved endothelial function, the health of the cells lining the blood vessels. In simple terms, a calmer heart, better blood flow, and reduced disease risk. But that's just the beginning. Chamomile, long known as the tea of peace, has been validated in clinical studies for its effect on anxiety, insomnia, and gastrointestinal discomfort. Researchers at the University of Pennsylvania found that chamomile extract significantly reduced generalized anxiety disorder symptoms in participants compared to a placebo. It wasn't magic. It was a flower people have trusted for thousands of years. Ginger tea, too, is more than a spice in a cup. The Cleveland Clinic notes that its bioactive compound, gingerol, is a natural anti-inflammatory and antioxidant, helping with nausea, joint pain, and even blood sugar regulation. And when you pair that with warmth and mindful drinking, you're not just managing symptoms, you're shifting your entire state of being. Even rooibos, the lesser-known red tea from South Africa, is beginning to draw interest from cardiovascular researchers. A study published in Public Health Nutrition found that rooibos consumption helped reduce oxidative stress markers and improve lipid profiles in adults at risk for heart disease. It's caffeine-free, rich in quercetin and aspalathin, and gentle on the body, ideal for those seeking restoration without stimulation. And perhaps what's most compelling isn't the isolated findings, but the bigger picture they paint. That tea, when used with intention, supports the whole person. Not just the physical body, but the emotional system, the cognitive pathways, and even the quality of sleep and digestion, all of which are now understood by science to be deeply interconnected. Functional medicine experts speak of systems biology, an approach that sees the body not as a set of parts, but as a unified whole. Tea fits perfectly into this model. It doesn't just treat one symptom, it creates an environment where healing becomes more likely. Now let's be clear, tea is not a replacement for medical treatment. It's not a miracle cure or a silver bullet, but it is a tool. A powerful, time-tested, evidence-supported tool that has the potential to reduce your reliance on synthetic interventions and reconnect you with your biology. So when you hear someone say, "It's just tea," smile gently. Because now you know, it's never been just tea. It's tradition confirmed by data. Ancient healing seen through the lens of the microscope. A simple cup backed by centuries of lived wisdom, and finally, by modern science. Why this truth was buried? It's a sobering question. If tea is so powerful and science confirms what ancient wisdom has long known, why aren't we discussing it more? Why is it still tucked away on the shelves of wellness shops, while pharmaceutical ads run endlessly across our screens? The answer isn't complicated. It's painfully simple. Tea can't be patented. In the modern medical economy, most drugs are only profitable if they're proprietary, owned, trademarked, and protected by law. That's how billion-dollar returns are guaranteed. But ginger, chamomile, rooibos, these are gifts of nature. They grow in the soil, not in a lab. No one owns them. No one can. And so, despite their proven benefits, they remain on the sidelines, not because they don't work, but because they don't pay. In a system driven more by profit than wellness, it's not surprising that natural remedies are ignored or discredited. There's no marketing budget behind green tea. There are no sponsorships pushing chamomile on your nightly news. What there is, however, is silence. A quiet, systemic silence, where the loudest voices belong to those who have the most to sell. Think about it. The average American sees up to 10,000 advertisements daily, many for pharmaceuticals. We've been trained to believe that health must come in a pill, that healing must be instant, and that symptoms must be suppressed rather than understood. And while that messaging plays on our fears of aging, of discomfort, of uncertainty, ancient wisdom has always whispered something different. That health is not found in urgency, but in rhythm, not in dependency, but in alignment. The monks never sold their tea, they offered it, they shared it. Because they knew healing was a birthright, not a business model. But the more profound tragedy isn't just the commercial suppression of these natural gifts, It's how many of us have lost the language of simplicity. We no longer trust what we can't scan, prescribe, or order online overnight. We doubt what's been with us all along. This forgetting is not accidental. It's cultural, it's systemic, and it's profitable. But here's the good news. Truth doesn't die. It waits. It waits beneath the noise, the algorithms and neon signs, and the endless loop of symptom, pill, side effect, repeat. It waits in your grandmother's kitchen, in a dusty book of ancient medicine. In the quiet moment when you finally ask, is there another way? And there is. There always has been. The resurgence of interest in natural healing isn't a fad. It's a remembering, a return, a rising of those old truths we were never supposed to forget. So yes, maybe the world buried these teas, maybe industries ignored them, but now you're uncovering them. Now you're waking up, and in a society that profits from your disconnection, choosing presence is an act of quiet rebellion. Boil the water, steep the leaves, take a breath, and taste the freedom they tried to hide. Your daily ritual of vitality. We often treat wellness like a checklist, a supplement here, a workout there, a tea bag dumped somewhere between Zoom calls and grocery lists. But what if healing wasn't another thing to squeeze into your day? What if it was your day? The truth is, your body moves in rhythms, like the ocean, like the moon, like breath itself. And when you align your daily habits to these natural rhythms, everything shifts. You don't just manage your energy, you nourish it. When used with intention, tea can become a gentle partner in this rhythm. Like a tuning fork, each cup brings your body back to balance, not through force, but through flow. Morning begins not with chaos, but with clarity. This is your time to rise, not just physically, but energetically. After hours of fasting and rest, your body is waking up. Your mind is fresh, your spirit is still tender. This is where ginger tea or green tea becomes a sacred companion. If you tend to feel sluggish in the morning or experience stiffness in your joints, ginger tea offers warmth from within. It stirs your circulation, awakens digestion, and lights that internal fire, without shocking your system like coffee often does. Just sipping something warm and grounding can set the tone for the day. Green tea is your match if your mornings are more about focus, clarity, intention, and calm productivity. Its delicate balance of caffeine and L-theanine offers mental sharpness without the crash. It supports your heart, your brain, and your metabolism. More importantly, it invites you to begin your day not in urgency, but in awareness. Afternoon is the transition, the bridge between energy and reflection. This is when we often hit that wall. The stress creeps in, fatigue sets in, the world gets louder. So we reach for sugar, or more coffee. But what if instead, we went for stillness? Enter rooibos, the red tea of calm. Naturally caffeine-free, rooibos doesn't push your system, it holds it. It soothes the nervous system, balances blood sugar, and supports the heart. It's the perfect pause, a moment to reset your energy instead of overriding it. Try stepping away from your screen, brew a cup, sit by a window, let your breath return to a gentle rhythm. Let your body remember that stress isn't your baseline. Peace is. Evening is descent, the gentle surrender to rest. This is not the time for stimulation. It's time to let go. Your body is preparing to repair, to process, to renew. So instead of numbing out with screens or collapsing into bed, consider creating a ritual, a closing of the day with chamomile. Its delicate floral essence signals the brain to soften. Too slow, to quiet down. Chamomile helps reduce cortisol, lowers inflammation, and supports the transition into deep, healing sleep. But more than that, it reminds you, your rest is sacred. Your rest is productive. Dim the lights, turn down the noise, brew your tea slowly, sip in silence or to soft music. Inhale the steam like it's prayer. Let each drop say, you did enough today. You are safe. You are home. This is the real magic of tea. It's not about herbs, it's about habit, about building moments in your day where you return to yourself, where healing becomes something you live, not chase. So don't just drink tea when you remember. Create a rhythm. Morning for energy, afternoon for peace, evening for rest. Let your life breathe with intention. Let your tea match your moment, and in doing so, let every day become an act of healing. Healing between the sips. Something sacred happens between action and awareness, in that subtle pause where intention meets experience. And when it comes to tea, that space is everything. Tea is not just healing because of what's in it. It's healing because of how we approach it. In Buddhist teachings, every act, no matter how small, has the potential to awaken the mind and reconnect us to our true nature. Washing a bowl, walking a pet, and breathing in and out. Even something as ordinary as sipping tea becomes a sacred ceremony when infused with presence. The monks understood this. A single cup of tea taken in mindfulness becomes a vow, not to perfection, not to productivity, but to self-awareness, to care, to stillness. It's easy to overlook. We live in a culture that celebrates doing more, faster, louder. We chase results. We quantify success in numbers. But healing doesn't speak that language. Healing moves slowly, quietly, deeply, and it begins not with medicine, but with mindfulness. There's a saying in Zen, drink your tea slowly and reverently, as if it is the axis on which the world turns. Because it is, perhaps the moment you stop, truly stop, and notice the warmth in your hands, the scent rising with the steam, the way the liquid touches your lips, maybe that moment is the center of your world. Perhaps that is where life is happening. When you drink your tea with presence, you send your body a message. I'm here, I'm listening, I care, and the body responds to that. The nervous system softens, the digestive system wakes up, the mind settles, gratitude flows, not because of caffeine or antioxidants, but because you've returned to yourself. This is why the monks never rushed their tea. It wasn't just habit, it was the ceremony, it was alignment. So what does this look like in your life? It's choosing to sit while you drink. Not scrolling and not multitasking, just sitting, breathing, being. It's noticing the color of the brew, the texture, the sensation. It's allowing your tea time to be a time of no striving, a time of stillness, a time of being human, not a machine, not a checklist, but a living, breathing presence in the here and now. And something beautiful happens when we do this consistently. Tea stops being just tea. It becomes a daily reminder that healing isn't something we chase. It's something we choose. With each sip we affirm, I am enough. This moment is enough. Life is enough. That is the healing between the sips. That is the transformation the world forgot to tell you about. So the next time you make tea, don't just think of it as something to drink. Think of it as a conversation with your body, breath, and being. A quiet agreement that you are worthy of gentleness, worthy of presence, worthy of peace. Because in that one simple act, done with intention, you are not just drinking tea, you are practicing wholeness. You are the medicine. For all the herbs, roots, rituals, and remedies we explore, one truth rests at the heart of it all. You are the medicine. The tea can guide you, it can nourish you, it can soothe your nerves and balance your body, but it cannot heal you without your participation. Healing, true healing, requires something more profound than compounds. It requires presence, it requires choice, and it begins, always, with returning to yourself. This is where so many of us get lost. We search for something outside of us to fix what hurts inside. A pill to erase the pain. A plan to replace our intuition. A promise of transformation that arrives in 30 days or less. But the body doesn't work that way. The spirit certainly doesn't. Healing is not a product, it's a practice. It lives in the moments you show up for yourself, even when no one else is watching. It grows when you take a pause instead of pushing forward. When you choose a breath over a reaction. When you forgive your fatigue, your fears, and your failures, and meet them with compassion instead of criticism. That's when healing begins. Not with tea, but with tenderness. The monks never claimed their tea cured them. They never drank, expecting a miracle. They drank because it anchored them in the rhythm of patience, of stillness, of care. They drank, knowing that the medicine was not in the leaves, but in the way they approached each day with reverence. And so we must learn to do the same, to stop outsourcing our wholeness. We must stop waiting for the next thing to make us feel worthy, energized, and alive. Because the truth is, you already are those things. Beneath the layers of fatigue and distraction, your body always tries to heal. Your soul is always calling you home. The tea helps, but you must sit, you must breathe, you must choose. That choice doesn't need to be dramatic. It can be quiet, gentle. A morning ritual where you sip with gratitude instead of rushing out the door. An evening moment where you let yourself rest instead of pushing through one more task. A simple whisper to your own heart. I'm here. I've got you. That is the most powerful medicine there is. Because at the end of the day, healing isn't something given to you. It's something awakened within you. And once you realize that, everything changes. The way you eat, the way you rest, the way you speak to yourself when no one's listening. So let the tea be your companion. But don't give it your power. That belongs to you. You are the one who chooses presence over panic, stillness over speed, care over criticism. You are the healer, the witness, the medicine. Let that truth steep in your bones. Let it rise with every breath. Let it carry you, one mindful sip at a time. So today we've taken a step back from the noise and inward. We rediscovered the sacred simplicity of 5 healing teas. Ginger to awaken your inner fire, rooibos to soothe your nervous system, green tea to focus the mind, chamomile to bring you home to rest, and that 5th, hidden tea, a quiet ally of inner power and spiritual clarity. But more than the teas themselves, we explored how the ritual of drinking with intention can become a path to healing. When you sit with your tea, you're not just nourishing your body, you're consciously choosing to care for yourself, patiently and tenderly, one sip at a time. Because healing doesn't always begin in a hospital. Sometimes it begins in the stillness. In a warm cup, in a breath you didn't rush, in remembering that you are already enough. If this video has stirred something within you, I invite you to leave a comment below with this simple affirmation. I choose presence. I choose peace. I choose to return to myself. Let that be your quiet promise to your health, heart, and wholeness. And if this message speaks to you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to Buddhist Health. It helps us reach more souls seeking peace and lets us know that these stories matter. Remember, the most potent medicine isn't always found in a bottle or a prescription. Sometimes, it's found in a moment of stillness, in a sacred sip, and in the decision to live with more compassion, awareness, and love. Until next time, be well, be kind, be here.